Welcome, everybody, to the new edition of the Being You Book Club with the brilliant Dr. Dain Heer, the author who we have today. Hi, Dain.
Hi, Emily. How you doing?
Good. And sorry, everyone who was waiting for us to come live. We're a little bit late.
We are a little bit late, and sorry about that. And for those of you that don't know, I just am fresh from a root canal. So this part of my face doesn't quite move, but consciousness must go on. So I'm here.
You sound great for just having a root canal. So we can go wherever we'd like to go today. And you guys, please make comments and ask questions as we go along. But this book came out 11 years ago now, right? 11?
9.
And 10. It's in let's go in the middle. And it's in 16 different languages, going to be 17 very soon. And it keeps sort of having, it changes. I was just rereading it in preparation for our chat, and it's like reading a new book every time. And with everything going on in the world, it's funny. So we picked today kind of to go around, talk around the topics in chapter 1, and we can go anywhere, which is your reality and the free will universe. And you talk about, okay, if we had free will, this idea that we choose things to create our future. And with that, it's like, if we could choose to change the world and have the world we'd like to have, why does it seem like we can't change things? And with all the stuff going on right now, do you want to talk about what else is possible?
Yes. And I also want to acknowledge that comment from Michelle. I purchased several. It's my go-to handout book. That just made me happy. So I figured I'd share it with everybody. Yeah, it's like, the thing is, we're not taught that we have choice. We're not taught that we actually have the ability to change anything. But in actuality, we do. And we see certain people that seem to be able to choose things and make them happen and change difficult situations into possibilities. And a lot of us, we kind of wonder, like, how do they get that? Why do they do that? And I can't, And it's not that you can't, it's just nobody's ever given you the tools. And nobody's also ever encouraged us to say, hey, you can do this, but also, what would you like to do? Now that you know you have choice, what do you want to do with it? And so it's one of these things where the whole thing about the book is the book is so interesting. One of the comments was, somebody said, it's a new version. Have you changed it? And it's like, no, the book keeps changing itself. I don't know how it happens, but every time you read it, it's different. And so it's just this amazing gift of what it could actually be to be us, that it shows us is actually possible. That if somebody would have known this shit, this wonderful stuff, if somebody would have known that this is the way the world worked a long time ago and told us, we would have been on a totally different trajectory by now. Well, this book is about getting to that trajectory that you should have been on.
Well, and that's like one of the quotes I pulled, which was in the first chapter. You say, if you don't have the world you'd like to live in and the life you'd like to have, then what you thought it was going to take to get there must be incorrect.
Right.
So it's like that right now, people are looking around saying, this might not be the world I want to live in. What is going on? And can you talk about, when we decide what we think is going to change it, how that can limit us, but like the tools you're talking about to really change it?
Yeah, well, if we look out at the world right now, it's exactly like you said. People are looking and going, how did we get here? How is this our world? What? Did we turn left at the moon at the wrong time? What's going on? And it's like, so if we recognize that, and we recognize that at least there's some sense of possibility for being able to create a difference. But if that's going to occur, what's going to have to occur is we're going to have to actually get in touch with what's true for us, and be willing to recognize that we do have choice. One of the things I love about the book is that it doesn't really hit you over the head with anything. It doesn't go, you have this, therefore you should do this. It sneaks it up on you when you least expect it, And, like even this chapter about the free will universe, it's like, by the time you're done reading the chapter, you go, shit, I do have choice. Who knew? And really, that's kind of the way we actually That's actually kind of the way the world works, though, is we have choice, but we keep looking for the big glowing thing that says you have chosen, it is good. Like we expect when we choose that the clouds are going to part and a booming voice is going to say, you have chosen, good job for choosing, now it will happen, but that's not the way it works. It's this constant state of making little choice after little choice after little choice that gets us to, like, eventually gets us to a much different life. But also collectively, us doing that, and this is one of the other things that a lot of people don't get, is us collectively choosing that way creates little by little by little a different world. And that is really the gift. Large scale, that's really the gift that we are and that we can be, especially with all of our weirdness and all of our difference and all that stuff that we would like to see as the world that other people don't seem to get. But it's interesting. Got a few thousand people watching right now who would like that as their world. What if we recognize that? Because forever we've been thinking that we're alone, and we're the only ones who want what we want. Not anymore, kids. There are thousands upon thousands of us, and more of us are waking up all the time. It's like I had the fortune of being on TV this morning, and I was talking about being a leader in current times. And one of the things I said is way more of us actually desire a kinder, more inclusive, gentler world than, all the people that are doing the hate and the violence and all that sort of stuff. They're a minority. Let's stop listening to the minority just because they're louder and more violent than everybody else. Let's recognize that the majority of us actually desire to create a world that actually works and includes all of us. Let's head there. And all those other people can go wherever they want to go.
And one of the things you said on the TV segment today, which someone can put it in the links, in the comments, I'm sure, is that a leader is someone who asks questions. And yep. Do you want to talk more about that? Your book is full of questions, but that seems like such a simple concept, and yet it's such a gift.
Yeah. Well, that is right there. If we could just embrace that a leader is somebody who asks questions. And if you're going to embrace the fact that you have choice, you can't do it from conclusion, because conclusion always eliminates choice. And so the idea of asking a question is like a leader is somebody who is always willing to question what is and perceive where there are other possibilities and see what can get created and what can't, but ask questions to create the possibilities that are available so that they can actually start to actualize. And so questions like, how does it get any better than this? And if anybody's done any access, they know. If anybody knows anybody who's done access, they know that's a question you hear a lot, okay? Because it opens up the space where things can get better. A question like, what else is possible? What can I create here that I've never imagined before? What could we together create as our world that we've never imagined before? And notice when I say that one, a lot of you out there go, oh yeah, that, because it's got an energy to it. Every question you ask opens up and accesses an energy that's this, and depending on the questions you ask, those are really the energies that are showing up in your life. Like if your question is, why am I so stupid? Well, guess what? You're going to find out. Yay! Not a good question. How about what's right about me I'm not getting, and what's right about this that I'm not getting? See, but most of the questions people have been asking themselves is about how wrong they are, how they're stupid, how did I get so messed up? How did I get so limited? Why can't I create what I want? All those are the questions most people are asking themselves, instead of asking themselves questions like, ooh, what if I'm cooler than I thought I was? What if I could be happier than I'm supposed to be? What if I can create way more than I thought I could create? What if I'm greater than I ever thought? Like questions like that. And for some people, they go, well, yeah, but you're just trying to make it up. No, you're actually tapping into the energy when you ask the question. So you could either ask that, or you could ask, why am I so messed up? And you'll find out. Either question you ask, you'll find out.
Well, there are so many comments. I'm like trying to scroll through them. one of the things you mentioned, you just talked about that was energy, and it comes up so much in the book. And you have this brilliant way of talking about if you change the energy of something, then the situations in your life and around you change in what it seems like magic, right? And you have a way of talking about energy that's one of the most practical, pragmatic ways. Can you talk more about how it's the energy and the energy of you, that simple, that changes things?
Yes. Well, and that's, the reason I talk about energy in the way that I do is because, that's what it is. It's pragmatic. It's like the most pragmatic thing in the world. We are energetic beings. It's just, once again, it's amazing to me. All the stuff you really need to know in life, nobody told you. All the really valuable stuff, you are energy. If you ask a question, you can change something. You do have free will. You do have choice. Your capacity is greater, is truly magical to change things. Nobody ever told us any of this. Well, that's fine. So I had to write a book to tell you. Okay, there you go. But anyway, so if we look at that for a moment, so if we could observe us in the world, a lot of us sort of, if we've ever done anything, I don't know, metaphysical or energetic or whatever, there's this thing where we're sort of we have a sense of having a bubble of energy around us. Well, think about it like this. So when you wake up and you're having one of those days where you are just on top of the world and you're like, yes, we can do anything. Let's go. Well, your energy is really big like that. But also everything you interact with is also, it speeds up. Like every person, like when you're in one of those moods, and somebody comes by, they're like, I'm having a sad, crappy, yucky day. And you're like, oh my goodness, hi, good to see you. And you give them a big hug with all that energy, and you can feel them kind of resist at first, and then they melt into it, and then they go, whoa, see, I was having a really bad day until I talked to you, and now I don't even know how I got so much energy. What's going on? That's one energy, right? And then the other energy is, we all know this one too. I wish I didn't, but I know it all too well, is where you wake up and you hit the snooze alarm 27 times because you don't want to be awake that day. Well, your energy when you do that is like this, right? And then you go outside and it feels like everything is bigger than you. Like chihuahuas are bigger than you when your energy's like that. So the energy you're being interacting with the world is like this tiny little thing that is the effect of everyone and everything around, rather than being this really big thing that is the effect, that is the affect of everyone and everything around. See, we have the ability to be an affect and to have an affect in the world, to effect the world, no longer be the effect of the world. In other words, we have the ability to, by our energy, determine what goes on in the world around us. But because we refuse to be that, the opposite then shows up for us, and the world around us determines us. So this idea that we're an energetic being this is one of the areas where we've got to get, we have choice. And it's not as simple as a lot of people wished it was, like me, for example, where if I wake up in a crappy mood, I can go, okay, I don't want to be crappy mood anymore. Bye-bye. Bye-bye crap. Bring on possibility. It actually is that simple, but for most people, it's not that simple. So what do we have to get there? We have access consciousness tools. These things like asking questions, these things like the clearing statement, these things like looking at possibilities from a different way, but also getting rid of everybody else's crap out of your head. Because 98% of the crap in your head is not your crap. Okay. And by the way, if you have crap in your head, I'm a doctor, and that's weird. Okay. I'm just saying, crap should be other end, not that end. Just anyway, everything that brought up, I should probably say pocket pod to all that. Okay. So anyway, so what we have is when our energy is like, and we'd like something different and we're finally willing to have it, that's where we have access consciousness tools to go from here to here. And that's also part of what I wanted to put in the book was this amazing set of tools, but also not, once again, like, here's a tool, use a tool, change your life, blah, 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 boring. I'm so bored, I want to die. No, it's sneak them in when you least expect it, hopefully make you laugh along the way, because when you laugh, you receive a lot more, plus you have a lot more fun. But there's all these tools that we can use to change all this kind of stuff. And it's freaking fun and awesome. And why wouldn't we? And some people say, Dain, you have too much energy. And I'm like, define too much.
Right? Well, I love one of my favorite, you have a couple stories in the book about like finding the energy of who you truly are. You know, here we are talking about your book, Being You, Changing the World, and Access Consciousness, which you're a co-creator of. And you talk in the book about a time in your life when you were, you know, you had your chiropractic business, you had a fiance, you had all these things that this reality would be, you have succeeded and you should be happy. And none of that was what you knew was possible. Nor fulfilled you. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. And then by you, like this book is kind of a journey and you tapping into the difference of you and how you use that energy to change not just your life, but everything around you.
Yeah.
And do you want to talk more about how we do find and tap into that energy of the unique energy of each of us?
Well, that's an ongoing exploration, number one. And I apologize because there are certain things that you say that I want to speak to something, but this whole throbbing pain on the side of my mouth is getting in the way a little bit because I'm a little bit sensitive with my body, shall we say. I'm a little bit of a princess, okay? So if any part of my body hurts, I'm like, it sort of distracts. It takes a bit. So I'm going to just go. So here's what I'll do what I would do, okay? Which is, okay, what's it going to take for this to be easy and fun and for me to actually be able to track the way I would like to and be able to answer the fullness of the question you ask rather than only being able to hold on to the last part. Everything that doesn't allow that, right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Okay, and if you didn't understand that and you just saw this video and you're like, what were those weird words? You can go to theclearingstatement.com and you can find it there. But it's a personal development upgrade. It's a way of truly going and undoing the stuff from the past that creates the future, or that creates the present that isn't working, so you can have a future that does. So can you ask me that question? Paraphrase one more time.
Yes, because maybe it was a long question, but basically, like what we create gets created from the difference of us, you know. And you talk about, and I think you even walk maybe in the book through like a little bit of like an exercise to find more of the energy of us. Questions we can ask to tap into that. Because if that's where the brilliance of you comes from and creating and changing the world and changing your life, like what can we be and what can we ask to have more of that show up?
Well, what we have to be willing to be actually is the thing we've been avoiding more than anything else, which is different. And it's like, see, all of those things that we choose that end up not working and or we'll have an awareness and we'll go against it or whatever. Somebody says something, we try to choose what they think we should. All of that is because we're not willing to be as different as we are. And so the willingness to be different allows you to recognize that you're far more of a magical, mythical, mystical creature than you are a normal person. Now, when I say that, there are usually two reactions that come up in people. One is, yes, finally, thank you. I always wondered why I feel closer to unicorns and dolphins than I do people, okay? Or, you know, or animals than I do people. And then, but there's this other reaction that occurs for some people where they're like, what? No, that's airy fairy, blah, blah. And what I found is it's the people that fight the hardest against it that actually usually have the most of it. And they were made so wrong when they were younger for being that they decided I'm never going to be that again. So let's do this. Since we already used the clearing statement, we might as well use it again. This is one of the things I love about Access, right? We can have, it's not just an intellectual conversation that we have. We have a conversation, but it's an awareness conversation. And we bring up something that applies to people, and then we can help them change it. It's friggin' awesome. Gotta show that comment. So everything you've done to try to eliminate your magic everything that was done to invalidate you for being magic, and everywhere you made the mistake of talking about it or being it around people who couldn't have it, and everything you did to invalidate you because they couldn't get it, will you destroy and uncreate it, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. What about being different in past lives? Yep, it applies there too. I like that. What makes me different is my magic. Yep. That's you. You know? And the thing is, so we'd have to be willing to be the difference, but also, so look over your life and look at what you used to believe in that made you happy. Just one or two things that you used to believe in that made you happy. You know, it could have been Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. I don't know. Or you know, like for me, I used to believe that everybody wanted the same thing, you know, and it made me happy. Well, and then if you look at, okay, so at a certain point, did you give that up? And would it make you happier if you could like re-outfit that to the point of awareness for sort of modern times? Meaning, if you took that and went, okay, like for me, I used to think everybody wanted to be happy. Well, I now realize that is not the case, okay? But it used to make me happy to think that because I thought we were all on the same page. So if I turn it into, you know, if I allow my awareness to be that anything that's true for me makes me lighter. So some part of that was true. But then if I go, okay, so what is actually true that embodies that also, which is everybody has the capacity to be happy, and acknowledging that people can make the choice to not be happy is a great gift also, because then you don't have to try to make them happy because you realize their choice is to not be happy and they like that better. So making them happy just makes you crazy. Not trying to make them happy makes you crazy because they'll never choose it. And then I get even happier because I'm very happy for them to have choice, even though I wish they would choose to be happy at some point. But I'm really happy that they have choice, and I'm really happy that I don't have to try to change their choice anymore. And I'm like, oh my God, I used to think everybody wanted the choice to be happy. Now I just realize everybody has choice. And now I'm like, okay, cool. But then I look at everybody else has choice and I go, wait a minute, am I being the element of free will and choice that I can be as big as I can? Or am I still trying to limit it so other people can see it? Am I still trying to limit it so other people might validate it? Am I still trying to limit it so other people can catch up? And unfortunately, in a lot of ways, the answer was yes to that. And very recently, I've gone, no more. I'm going to go as far and as fast and as high as I can for as long as I can. And I'm going to enjoy the journey as much as I can. But I'm no longer going to hold back based on anybody else's point of view, or the idea that if I don't hold myself back, then other people won't come. Because that is no reason to hold yourself back. Because other people will come or they won't. Don't ever hold you back for what somebody else might choose.
Do you want to talk more about that demand to choose? Because when you say we have choice, it's free will, like that's what creates our lives. So what is it that keeps us from creating everything, like or having those bigger choices? Like when you talk about the willingness to go alone, is that the demand, or how do you get there?
Well, that's part of it. If you look at the world, look at how the world is like lowest common denominator, man. It's like the world gets dumber and dumber every day. And then there are those of us weirdos, and people call us weird for not wanting to become dumber and be like everybody else. So you got to realize there's a massive draw to be homogenized into utter stupidity, okay, and utter limitation and separation also. See, it would be one thing if this homogenization brought us together and brought us closer. But it doesn't, because it makes people so stupid that they would believe somebody that is trying to create racism and separation and destruction. on one side and then people on the other side and all that. Okay, blah, blah, blah. That's our world. Okay, fine. What can I be? What can I do that is so far beyond it that I would actually be happy living it? Needs to be our point of view. What can I be and what can I do that is so far beyond what anybody else gets that I would actually be happy living that life? Because the thing is, we've got the capacity. Do we have the willingness, and are we willing to be that different? And that's where our choice comes in. So when we say, do we truly have free will? Yeah, and that's where our choice comes in, is exactly there in that space of us looking and going, if I could have anything as my life, what would it be? Yeah, the world tries to say you need to all be like this. And even with social media, you know, so many people are like, how many likes did I get? Do people like me? Oh my goodness, that post got fewer likes than my last post. Let me tweak myself so people will like me more. As though they're actually liking you. No, they're liking the photo you put up and the picture and the fact that they can get away from living their lives for a little bit by interacting with your life. Which probably, if you look at 90% of the posts on social media, okay, maybe 80, okay, maybe 99. So many of them are people trying to prove that their life is better than they think it is. It's like, what? So like if we truly had a truly vulnerable point of view in the world, a vulnerable presence on social media, a vulnerable presence showing up, warts and all, but also greatness and all, that alone would be the difference that would elevate us and our choices to the creation of a totally different living here. Because we've got to get that it's our living, like we live. It's our living that is really the gift here. And with us being willing to live from a space of true vulnerability and not have to, you know, make anybody else wrong for what they're choosing, but also not be willing to be made wrong for what we're choosing, have a different world. And then all of our gifts can contribute to each other.
Can you say more about vulnerability? Because it's one of the things I admire. I've had the honor of working with you for, you know, several years, and I so admire that about you. And on TV today, you gave a great example of vulnerability and how that can be a strength too. And
yeah, well, for me, it truly is one of the ultimate superpowers. It's one of the ultimate strengths that we have. And vulnerability is where you have no walls and no barriers and nothing to prove about being right or wrong. It's like, you're like, hi, here I am, warts and all, you know, like, I'm like, hi, I'm numb and in pain. Sorry, you know, but I'm here, you know, to the best of my ability. I still don't feel like I'm tracking as well as I would like. But in one of the great examples, it's like, I mean, there's so many examples around the world right now. And so we have these protests going on right now in the United States. And you have these policemen taking a knee, like they're in this line and they all go down on one knee to go, hey, we are with you, protesters. We're not against you. We're not here to fight you. This is a protest by humanity. This is not a protest against police or against white people or about color and non-color, quote unquote, even though I still say white is a color. Hello. Anyway. You know, it's like, this is not what that is. This is about humanity. This is about what is true for all of us, and all of us acknowledging we got to do something different here. First thing I have seen since the civil rights movement, and even the civil rights movement had, I don't know if it even had that much in the way of the, like, could you imagine a line of police officers during the civil rights movement taking a knee and then having the police hug and the, you know, and the protesters shake hands and hug and everybody hugging? Are you kidding? But that's vulnerability. That changes the world. And then there's this guy, and I don't know if it was during these protests, but he had this is an African-American guy, has free hugs in big letters on the front of his shirt. And he's going up hugging the cops at this protest. He's going up hugging the cops. And one of the protesters goes, dude, what are you doing? Why you don't be hugging him. He's a murderer. And the guy points at the cop that he just hugged. He goes, this guy is a murderer? He's like, this guy hasn't killed anybody. He's like, that was somebody else. That's why we're here, because that happened. This guy's trying to make sure nobody else gets hurt. He says his uniform does not make him a murderer, just like your skin color does not make you a criminal. We need to have a different world. And that is what vulnerability is. That's what vulnerability does. But at the same time, with vulnerability, you're also willing to not be invited back. Okay. Like when I was on TV this morning, I was like, they may never invite me back because this may be way more than anybody's willing to hear right now. And you know what? Who cares? Because for a long time, like I would say to the best of my ability, some element of the tools of access that I was trying to get into people's hands, because I thought if I can just give people enough tools, they will start changing their world. And today I went, fuck it. I'm going to say what I know is true. I'm going to speak to the world I desire to create. And if nobody wants to hear it, fine. Nobody wants to hear it. I'm not shutting up. I'm just getting started. So that's also the vulnerability. And I'm using myself as an example because it's something you can see, and you can also see the interview. It's like, these are some examples, but guys, look in your own life. But also look at that thing look at that. I don't even know. It's like there's this moment where we go into fight or resistance and reaction, where a lot of us really, we don't even like being that way, but we do it anyway. And that is also something that we learned. One of the things I used to do is I used to get angry. And that's funny to have somebody say I used to get angry, because I pretty much don't get angry anymore. The last time I was angry was, about an hour and a half ago at the dentist, when they were screwing things up and not doing what they should have done right. Oh yeah, I had anger, but I didn't have the same kind of anger. That was appropriate, okay? But I wasn't yelling at anybody. Just inside, I was like, you guys are screwing this up. You're not actually doing what you should be doing. And I know it. And I don't even know that anyway, blah, blah. But what used to happen is I used to get angry. And it was funny because Katerina, who we both work with very closely, and you both on the same day, it was like within hours of each other, I was like, rah, 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 anger pants, cranky pants, blah, blah, blah. And Katerina was talking to me, and I was telling her how angry I was about something or someone or something that happened. It's very important because I can remember it now. Oh yeah, I can't. And she said, Dain, who does that belong to? It never feels like you when you're angry. And I was like, oh, I'm angry, shut up. And then she said again, and so I got off the phone with her. Then I was talking to you about something totally different and mentioned the same thing that I was angry about. And you went, it's weird. It never feels like you when you're angry. And I finally got it with two people who see me with no judgment, who truly care about me. I finally got it. I went, holy shit. And I asked the question, is this truly mine? And I went, no, not at all. I learned it from my father. I learned it from some wonderful people in my past who were never very happy, but I learned to be unhappy just like them. So I ask, is that anger actually yours? Because we all know there's this moment where we could choose vulnerability. We could choose to bury the hatchet, lower the walls and barriers, and let that person into our world. There's a chance where there's a moment where we could give them a hug instead of try to stab them in the heart. Are we going to choose it? And only and guess what? Here's the other thing about this, and this is throughout the book. It's not wrong if you don't. Because that's the other thing. You don't truly have choice if you're doing it from trying to make the right choice and not the wrong choice. And so if you recognize, and here's the way it works, if you have this awareness about vulnerability and you're like, I would like to choose it. And so you're in a situation later this afternoon and you choose not that, you choose the anger or the resistance or whatever, and you have a judgment of it, which is what we usually do. Don't judge it. Just realize, well, you have choice next time. You're not wrong, because we've also got to be vulnerable with us. We've also got to allow that vulnerability and that kindness with us where we don't sit in a pile of judgment of us all the time either. Because otherwise we're not truly walking our talk at all. And we're suffering way more than we should. We're not here to suffer, guys. We are here to thrive. And we are not here to just exist and survive either. That's somebody else's load of bullshit. As though heaven is going to be better than here and all that. So suffer here. Whoever told you that was a lying sack of crap. So everything you did to buy shit from lying sacks of crap that, I don't know, wanted your donation money or wanted you to suffer here because it matched their point of view in any lifetime, anybody you bought that the purpose of life is to suffer for a better future, will you destroy and uncreate all that, please? Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Cool. And yeah, here, like Rena said, if you know, just apologize to the other person and move on. Like, hey, I'm sorry, I was wrong. What can I do to make up for the damage done? Just that. Totally different world if we would allow that to occur. Just saying.
Well, you snuck in a big one there with it's not truly choice. A few of them. I'm having the same thing tracking. I'm like, there's like 3 things I want to ask you about. That you don't truly have a choice if you're looking at what's right or wrong. Like, is it, it's right to fight against, like, for what I believe in, or it's wrong if I choose to bring up this topic, or do you want to expand about going beyond right and wrong to true choice?
Going beyond right and wrong is one of the greatest gifts that we can give ourselves. And let me give everybody a process. One of the other things we have in Access that I am so grateful for is when there's, see, so here's the deal. Our choice is always senior to processing, okay? Meaning our choice for something is always greater than running a process or anything else. We have the processes for when we can't seem to get to choice, okay? So this process, I'm going to do it this way instead of the other way I would do it. Actually, let me do it this way. What judgments, agendas, inventions, and lies are you using to create the dominance of E equals MC squared as right and wrong as the only choices in life and living that keep you from creating a totally different reality with no conclusions than anyone else can have? Everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and create it, please. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. So what judgments, agendas, inventions, and lies are you using to create all the stuff I just said, which is basically about having only right and wrong as the only choices in life and living that keep you from creating a totally different reality with no conclusions than anyone else can have? Everything that is times a godzillion, we destroy and create it, please. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. I like that quote of Laura's. We're not here to suffer or survive. We're here to thrive. So this thing about being right and wrong, wonder how you can't, I'm learning StreamYard. This is my first time broadcasting on StreamYard, by the way. It's actually Emily's first time too. And I was going to let her do it because I thought, with my brain power right now, probably a better idea. So anyway, I probably should have done that.
You probably should switch, but you're doing
good. Okay. Oh, goodness. So the idea about right and wrong, if you are doing something from right or wrong, you're not truly choosing. In other words, you're not doing it from true choice. Because if you're looking at, okay, I'm going to do this because it's the right thing to do, well, but that's based on a judgment, number one, but it's based on a judgment and a set of criteria that usually have nothing to do with what will create the most. See, when you get to this thing of choosing, or if you've ever been in the moment of choosing just from true choice is about what will create the most. That's what choice is about, period. So in other words, like, for example, my friend Gary, when he got divorced, he would not get divorced for many years because even though he knew the relationship wasn't working for him, even though he knew his wife was not really kind, caring, contributory, or any of these things, he wouldn't get divorced because he wanted to make sure that his daughters were taken care of. And so he had to do the right thing by his daughter, not the wrong thing, okay? But he was continuously asking, okay, what'll create the most, and please, if it will ever create more for me to get a divorce, universe, let me know. Well, at the very same time, so this had gone on for a few years where he was looking at this. And then I chose to break up with my fiance at the time, 20 years ago. And I literally, within 2 days, was out of the apartment and done, because I knew it wasn't going to create more. And I had been staying there because I knew she would feel wrong if I left. I knew that she would think that I'd been lying to her when I said I loved her, and I really wanted her to know she was loved. I noticed I wasn't in the equation at all, okay, except for the effect on her. I was a secondary player in the relationship. So anyway, I chose to leave, and because I started asking the question, what will my life be like in 5 years if I stay with her? What will my life be like if I leave her? Or is there some other choice that will create something greater that involves us sort of being together or something else? Well, I realized what my life would be like, and this is one of the criterion for choice, which is why I'm having the conversation, which is, what will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this? It takes you out of your mind and gets you into possibilities. It takes you out of right or wrong and gets you into possibilities. And so within 2 days after asking that question, I was like, I broke up with her and I said, I'm really sorry. I know I'm a terrible person. And she, to this day, still thinks I'm a terrible person, even though she would have hated being married to me. Okay. She would have hated, I would have hated it more. I would have been dead by now. Okay. Bye-bye. And so anyway, that's an awareness I had a while ago. I'm like, oh, so glad I changed that situation. But so I did that. Well, a week later, Gary was in this place where he's like, wait a minute. You just left after 2 days? You were so fucking whipped. I never thought you would ever do anything to upset that woman ever. I'm like, yeah, but I was dying and I'm done dying. I'm going to live now. And I was quite literally dying. It was one of the reasons I wanted to kill myself, was because of that relationship. And so within a month, he had basically talked to his daughters and said, hey, will you guys be okay? And they went, yes, we're fine now. We can handle this now. And so he didn't have to have the criterion of doing what was right for them anymore, in the sense of staying tied in this relationship. He could actually do what was honoring of him and honoring of everybody else, and would create the greatest future. That's the only time we have choice, is when we're willing to choose from what will create the greatest future. And so again, if you look at that, like both his ex and my ex would say we were terrible people. We were terrible men. We were, of course, the example of a man who will promise to love you, but then leave you after he takes your best years. And then they would have a story and they can sit and they can tell it for hours to anybody dumb enough to listen. You know what I mean? So yeah, we could be seen as that, but what we were both looking at is what will create the most for the future. And we were also willing to be judged, willing to be vilified. And this is part of what we're going to have to be willing to choose. It doesn't, but here's the weird part. When you're willing to be judged and willing to be vilified, so many times you're not. Because you're willing, it's your resistance to it that makes it show up most of the time. But once again, that's another thing nobody tells us. Nobody actually tells us this is how the universe works, because they don't want you to know that you have free will.
Well, that's one of the biggest lies. You talk about that. What choice is going to create the greatest future? And we've been taught that somehow choosing, but for us, is selfish, or that it will like be negative, not great for everybody else. And you telling that story, I'm looking at the comments. Like there's people saying the Being You book literally changed, like saved my life. And Gary, like I see the hundreds of thousands, probably at this point, millions of people you interact with and change, and like how that choice changed the world.
Yeah.
You could have bought that it was a wrong choice. And that's
right?
Money. I know that's a good example.
Thank you. And wow, I just realized wow. I thank you. I mean, wow. That would exploded my head for a moment there. Because I just looked at that through your eyes and what you were saying, and also, but in concert with all the people that are watching. And I was like, holy shit, I wouldn't be here. This wouldn't be happening. The Being You book, all of the beauty that accent. Wow. Oh my goodness. Thank you. You thought wow, I thought I wasn't tracking before. It's just gotten way more intense. Oh.
Oh, well,
Wow.
I have someone saying, please explain more how the universe works. I'm like, I love it.
Well, I do too. We actually, this is one of my favorite things to do, actually. And one of the things I did is this 14-day program where, and I basically went through and basically day after day after day explained something different about how the universe works. And please check it out if you're interested, because really, there's so much that is opening up awareness wise that I can't even begin to explain. There's so much that is becoming available for us that is just, it's like if you've ever played one of those games where you're going along and gathering tools and gathering magic trinkets and gathering power and gathering lives and all that stuff. And then at a certain point in the game, you just can't lose because you have too much stuff, and you know all the secrets and all that. That's basically where we are in the game of life right now, kids. If we'll allow ourselves to actually choose according to that, that's where we are in the game of life, is at that place where our choices for more create more. Our ask and you shall receive actually works in a way it never has before. But also, one of the things I've been trying to get people to the awareness of is that we changed tracks back in, I don't know, earlier in 2020, and there's a different world available. And so if we're trying to function from old reality, we're really doing ourselves a disservice. It's like trying to get to, if you want to travel across the US and you decide to take a horse, you're sort of using an old tool. You know what I mean? So it's like, if we acknowledge we've changed tracks, what else is available beyond old reality? And also, certain things will feel a certain way. That'll feel like a really messed up way, and it'll seem more messed up than it used to be. That's when you want to ask, because what I found is that's actually, it feels like this messed up thing that you used to have, but in actuality, it's this possibility thing that you don't know how to be with yet and interact with. And so you want to ask, if I know not this, what is possible here? Or what is possible beyond this reality? If I know not this, what is possible beyond this reality? And also, what is possible for me beyond this reality that I think is not possible, that if I allowed the possibilities would actualize a different reality? And if you start asking questions like that, then what happens is you start to get this beautiful awareness of something different. That's part of the gift of asking questions, because this stuff, we don't know what it is. We just think we do.
And one of my favorite questions of yours is, what possibility is presenting itself to me that looks like a problem?
Oh, I love that. I love that.
It's yours. Just tracking.
Just saying, yeah, as far as tracking, thank you. Thank you very much. I know, it's a great question. What possibility is presenting itself that looks like a problem? And but this is also where choice comes in, because what we're told by our autopilot systems that we've all invented somehow is that it looks like a problem, smells like a problem, it must be a problem. But where a choice comes in is, I'm going to make a choice to look at it from a totally different place. When you look from a totally different place, you get a totally different result. Like, it's beautiful, it's crazy, it's wonderful, it's amazing, it's bizarre, it's cool.
It's magic.
Definitely changes stuff.
There's a lot of comments of just gratitude and things changing. And so can I ask you, because when you talked about asking that question, like, what will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this or not? And you talk so much about following the energy, like looking at, that's the practical, this magical yet practical way to create your life, right? And now if everything has changed and there's these new energies available, what does that look like now? Like, what does that following the energy look like with everything now?
Well, the first thing is, it's way faster in most things. like way faster, which is really cool and really nice to know. So it's just so much dynamically more faster. That's first. But the other thing is it doesn't look anything like you think it's going to. In fact, usually it looks the exact opposite of the way you think it's going to. And so it like something that feels like, for example, Simone Milicis, our worldwide coordinator, we've worked closely for 20 years. We're best friends and have been for years. And we were about to do a telecall together or a Facebook Live or something together. And she called me half an hour before and she said, Dain, help me, please. And this was just a few days ago. She said, I know I'm probably just being humanoid here, but I feel more separate from you than I ever have before. And I was like, I know, huh? And she's like, yes. And I said, is it separate? Or do we not connect in the same way we used to? Is there actually some greater form of connection and communion between us available? Has all the old gone away? And do we actually have the chance to create something totally new that's way bigger? And she was like, oh my God, yes. And so what we both asked is, what can we now be that we didn't know was possible before? And what can we now choose that we didn't know was possible before, that is actually greater than what we had before? So that is the thing, which is why I keep trying to let people know it's not going to feel the same way it used to, but also realize that feelings and going by the way something feels, from that sort of feels right, feels wrong, feels anything other than feels light or feels heavy, has got some point of view attached that keeps you from having the direct awareness of it. And so there are a lot of things that are going to feel heavy, but that's because the very thing that you're feeling heavy about actually doesn't exist anymore. So what's happening is you invented something as a way of dealing with this energy in the past as it used to be. The energy has changed, but now the invention slaps you on the head and makes it feel more heavy. So what you do is go, okay, everything that I invented that allows this to exist, destroy and uncreate, pak and pod. And then also, if I know not this, what is possible beyond this reality, pak and pod? And then also, what is possible for me beyond this reality that I thought was not possible, that if I allowed that possibility, would actualize a different reality. Cool.
Cool. I want to ask you, you talked about the video game, and if you had so many things that you just couldn't lose. So I get a lot of us are at different points of the video game, because someone is asking, how do I still, what are some tools to stop going to the wrongness? Like, if you feel like you only have one of those little magic things on your video game so far. Right. What would you say to that or talk about there?
Access consciousness. That's what I would say. I would say get the audiobook. And if you are having trouble financially right now, I hope you're not, but if you are, go to beingyoubook.com and download the intro and first chapter. Have it on. And the reason I say access consciousness, because I have a tough time. Like, I used to have people who would say all kinds of things about their thing as though it was the answer. I don't think access is the answer. It's the only thing I've ever found that changes things in the way that it does. It has its own way of changing things. So what you want to do is you want to immerse yourself as constantly and as often as possible in as many energies that expand and melt your world apart as possible. Okay. Get on the Access Consciousness mailing list. One of the things that I do is every year and some other times I do this global energetic synthesis of communion. And that energy, and all you got to do is you listen to it, it changes things. But also you can have that playing, like any of the Access audios you have. I've got over 400 videos on YouTube and hundreds on Facebook on Dain Heer and Dr. Dain Heer. And all kinds of Access Consciousness facilitators have all kinds of videos and all kinds of stuff. And also, really, if you're really interested in that, do get the 14-day program thing. Okay, please. It's $14. I'm not making any money on the deal, kids. Okay. Or maybe I am. Maybe I'm getting rich. Ha 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 for $14. Ha ha. I did that because we were just underwent quarantine. It just started. And I was like, okay, let's do this 14-day program because I wanted to give people a different way of navigating the insanity that was presenting itself to everybody. And boy, did we friggin' do it. And it has been, there are no words, but for 14 friggin' dollars, it's like there are 22 videos there. I can't explain. And I keep trying to tell people there's this many videos. It's this deep dive into this, but basically tap into the energy of what that thing is and was and will be for you. Cause it's worth about 14,000. And I'm not actually kidding. It really is. And you go through it and people have told me that over and over. And so I feel totally okay doing a commercial about something that's either free or $14. You know, I would have a trouble doing a commercial for something that were 5,000 maybe, although maybe not, but because I don't do what I do for the money. I do what I do for the contribution that it will be to people and the world that it can help create. That is why I do what I do, which is also interesting because money shows up. It just keeps showing up. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. How did that happen? Because I don't do what I do for the money. And I understand what it is like also to struggle for money, which is one of the reasons I did the 14-day program for $14, because I wanted it to be available to everybody who actually had a desire for it. And so those superpowers are there. They're there all around you. It's a matter of unbuying the lies that you bought and that you've made real that are actually not for you. And you're far greater than any of that. You're far greater than the lies. You're far greater than the limitations. You truly are walking, talking magic. And it's just, you have to. So here's what I would do if I were you guys. I'm going to make a suggestion. If you could finally access all of your capacities, all of your awarenesses, all of your brilliance, and if you could unhide all of your capacities and awareness and brilliance and magic, what could your life be like in the next 12 months? And if you had mine and Emily's, little contribution from a magic wand there, boom. Okay. Now, some of you let that in way more than your own. Okay, fine. Cool. So now just get the sense of it. And it's that fast. You get the sense, get the energy of it. Okay. That's the energy of your life that you're asking for in the next 12 months. And just go, hey, universe, consciousness, please help. I will do anything. I will be anything. I will change anything. I will lose anything. I'm willing to lose anything because I know what shows up will be greater. I'm willing to lose anyone because I know who shows up will be greater. And if you have all of those criterion, well, then anything that feels like that energy, do it. And it will actualize probably way quicker than the next 12 months. Aw, thank you, Gloria. You gifted us a fortune. Yay.
So if you guys are watching right now, you're probably watching on Facebook or YouTube. Please subscribe to YouTube.
Oh, yeah, please.
And like Dain's page, and you can sign up for notifications because we have 3 more of these coming up this month. The next one's next week at the same time. So that way you'll get notified because you don't have to sign up anywhere. You guys just get to come on the lives.
Yes. Yeah, you'll get notified. You get to come on. And also, it's a gift to me also. So if this has been a gift to you, liking my Facebook page and subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking the videos would be a gift back to me, because that's the way the rest of the world finds this stuff. And let's face it, more people are searching on Kim Kardashian's butt than they are consciousness and do I truly have free will? And so
you don't know. Things are changing.
I'm hoping. I know exactly. That works for me. And that would be really a great gift and contribution. And also on my website, if you go to drdainheer.com, ooh, wait, hold on. I can do it. Watch. Check it out. Hold on. Give me a moment. Oh my God. If you go there, right. If you go there, there's all kinds of stuff. There's free video series. There's the 14-day thing. There's just all kinds of stuff, man. I want it to be a happy world. And I was lucky enough to stumble across the tools 20 years ago. And it's been, the world and has been getting more and more glorious ever since. And I want to share that possibility with everybody.
Thank you, Dain. Thank you for today. Thanks everybody for being on.
Oh, thank you, Miss Emily. You're wonderful. Thank you so much. And wow. So we have at least 3 more of these.
At least.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week.
Awesome. See y'all then. And I may be tracking a little better then. So it'll either be more fun or at least the same amount of fun or something. Thanks, beautiful people. So grateful for you watching. See you soon. Mwah. Bye-bye. We're ending now. That's what's happening. End broadcast. Okay, the broadcast is in 3, 2,